Hey there, this is Wyeth here to introduce you to our podcast with Anna White. Anna is an artist, musician, and writer based in Bellingham, Washington. She has been at the helm of multiple creative projects, including the Nearness Project, which was a collaborative response to quarantine isolation, and her new record label and artist support initiative, Inside Joe Records. During our conversation, Anna and I got to talk about her beginnings as a contributor for the prolific Rookie magazine, teen soap operas, and indie music scenes outside of the US. As Anna provided insight into her many creative endeavors, I learned about her ambitious attitude and how connection and bringing people together is key to her approach. We hope you enjoy. I wanted to just start off by asking you about your work with Rookie magazine and how you kind of got involved with that project and what your experience was like.
Yeah, I loved working with Rookie. I am trying to think about what specific year. I think it must have been 2015, maybe, when I started working with them. I actually just submitted my high school AP Studio Art
Aw,
portfolio to them as a cold submission
yeah.
and heard nothing back for months, thought nothing of it. I was certain that Rookie was, out of my league because I think that I was a little second gen Rookie and that I had been reading it for a while and I wasn't one of the very first contributors. I was one of the I guess kind of younger
Yeah.
Rookie generation of contributors. But I started working with them with just visual art. My editor, Lena Singer, picked me up
Aw.
from that portfolio and hit me up after that to do some art accompanying articles and then eventually to write a piece because she knew that I was a musician and in a band. And so she reached out and asked if I wanted to interview a band. It was the first interview I'd ever done. I'd never really thought of myself as that much of a writer, or at least as a journalistic writer. But I thought that it would be a cool way to talk to a band that I admire. It was Knots. I believe they're Austin based. They were the first interview I ever did.
Aw,
Um,
that's awesome.
yeah, and Rookie, I really loved it. I ended up doing a lot of more kind of music journalistic writing with them as well as narrative comics.
Oh,
And worked with them on and off until they folded in 2019, I want to say. Like,
okay, yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
I know when that whole project, and I mean, I know Tavi is her name. She's on Gossip Girl now. I found that out when I was watching the pilot or whatever. I was like, that's such a funny coincidence because we were just talking about Rookie with Molly, and I was like, oh my gosh, what a weird thing.
It's so interesting too because her character is someone that, I mean, how much of the new Gossip Girl have you seen?
I'm almost caught up. I was really apprehensive in the first episode, but I got really into it after a couple episodes in because I
Oh
watched
yeah.
the one, as
Oh
one
yeah.
in 2007. But yeah, have you seen it?
I I love Gossip Girl. I'm a huge fan of teen TV. I think
Oh
teen
my god,
media is just such a special thing.
yeah.
Um, but I think that the new Gossip Girl, there's a lot of I feel like it would be really fun to write just an academic analysis of how this Gossip Girl, I'm curious, I guess, what people that are watching this as the first one are thinking, because it does feel like it's kind of made for an odd, well, I mean, the characters are in a universe where they're already acclimated to social media, because I feel like the whole first kind of the allure of the first Gossip Girl was that it was this mysterious thing, and
Yeah,
getting a text blast
yeah.
was such a kind of anonymous, I don't know, removed from reality way to cyberbully or get the info and create it. It was so easy for her to be anonymous, whereas now it's they're all kind of in control of their own social media presences in a way, and it's reflected in that way with the fact that you know who Gossip Girl is and you know that it's kind of playing into that, I don't know.
I thought that was an interesting move on their part to make Gossip Girl apparent in the first episode. I mean, I kind of feel like they're in the original and they should have just never said who it was, but granted,
Oh yeah.
I mean, it was because I knew that it was going to be one of the characters, and then everyone guessed who it was because they made it really obvious, and then at the end they kind of threw it together that it was Penn Badgley's character or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. I know teen. I'm really a big sucker for teen, especially the early 2000s.
Oh yeah.
I watched the OC. Have you seen the OC?
Oh yeah.
Oh my god, it literally I was kind of apprehensive at first, but then I was like, oh my gosh, this is just god tier. It's amazing. But
Oh yeah.
I know I'm glad to have a fellow.
Oh yeah.
It's
Yeah,
just
Teen
us.
TV, it's either, and like there's so much like trashy teen TV is great in and of itself, but I feel like especially that like sweet spot of 2010s before that was all the made for Netflix teen TV. It was really like that was a demographic that they were putting a lot of work into capturing. And
Yeah.
so like it's pretty quality stuff.
Oh yeah, no, I feel like anyone who tries to write that stuff off needs to get the chip off their shoulder.
Oh
People
yeah.
like, don't take content so seriously. It's like, why not have fun with it? But
Oh yeah.
oh yeah, and then oh yeah, going back to the rookie stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I wanted to see like was there like a favorite experience you had working with Rookie or like a favorite piece or like a piece you really enjoyed putting together for them?
Ooh. I definitely the one that felt the biggest for me, I would say. I wrote um I was in a band. I've been in a lot of bands since, but I guess it was my first like real band, and we broke up the summer after my sophomore year of college. Or like I went to school in a different state, and they had decided that I was not going to be in the band anymore. And I like knew it was coming, but like, you know, as any friend drama happens, it was just like so chaotic and such a huge dramatic thing for like little 18, 19-year-old me, that just like I made a big like very personal comic about it and put it on Rookie. And it definitely, I think that it was the best, like it was the best artistic one and the longest, most personal one I put. And I think that was the one that I was probably the proudest of for a long time, just because it felt like something I put a lot into.
Yeah.
Um, and some of the art still holds. I think it's funny looking at all the things that, you know, I thought were such great, like the best work I'd done at that point, and seeing them now, and like I stand by them, but like visually, it's always a little cringy looking back.
No, but that's good. It means you're progressing as an artist, you
Oh
know.
yeah. It's like people always ask. I have like tattoos of my friends' art, but people always ask if I would ever get something of my own, and I think it's like you see yourself in your own work in such a more critical way than you see anyone else's, that it would just be painful looking at something of your own like 10 years later.
No, totally. Get it like on your back or something where you can't.
Exactly.
No, I totally feel that. No, that's awesome though. I mean, was it kind of scary putting something more personal out there or was it kind of
Oh, absolutely.
yeah.
I think that most of my Rookie things, that at least the comics were the things that were the only real personal ones I put out. And they were definitely, they were the ones that were the scariest to publish. One of my first ones was about being queer and just kind of like coming to terms with sexuality, and also about like I think I like made it some kind of analogy with like cutting my hair, because I cut my hair in a funny way and dyed it for like the first time when I went to college. But that was another one that I hadn't like totally come out to everyone. I had a girlfriend at the time, but I don't think I had like published it to the whole social media world. So that was kind of my first uh, foray into kind of a mass coming out to everyone that followed me on the internet.
No,
And that was a scary one to put out there too. But everything like that, especially I think that anything like with narrative work and with visual work, it always felt like cathartic and kind of easier for me to put those things out, like after kind of translating them into a visual way. It like detaches you and solidifies the narrative and kind of gives you time to figure out exactly what you want to say before you set it out there. So I always liked that.
no, that's so cool and really a lot of respect because I know for a lot of artists it can be really hard putting something so personal out there, you know, like that's definitely I think
That was the beauty of Rookie, is that it was such a space where everyone was doing things that were so personal. And it felt like, because it was an environment where the readers really like were taking that and learning from it and creating a community.
yeah.
I don't know. It was a very safe space to do that, and also a space where it was very reciprocal.
So,
I think like you would get engagement from people rather than cyberbullying or anything.
Oh
It
yeah.
was more like people would see something and say that they related to it. And I remember, yeah, like reading when I put out the one about being queer or bi or whatever I referred to it as at the time, and having people put in comments and saying that they related to that. It felt like a crazy thing to, you know,
So that's so amazing. I'm glad
yeah.
it's such a positive community.
Oh, Rookie is a beautiful, and that's like when Aaliyah and I, who I founded Nearness with, we both met through Rookie, and like when we were working with Nearness, we really wanted to kind of draw from that supportive community because it was something that meant so much to both of us, having like kind of come of age in different ways through that process.
I was gonna say, cause so amazing. I'm glad
Yeah.
it's such a positive community.
Oh, Rookie is a beautiful, and that's like when Aaliyah and I, who I founded Nearness with, we both met through Rookie, and like when we were working with Nearness, we really wanted to kind of draw from that supportive community because it was something that meant so much to both of us, having like kind of come of age in different ways through that process.
I was gonna say, cause it kind of happened during some formative years. Did you say you worked on it when you were in college or?
Yeah, I was late high school, early college for the most part when I was just starting. I think my senior year of high school to maybe like the beginning of my senior year of college
Yeah.
when I was an active contributor.
Those are definitely formative years. I mean, like going away and all that. I mean,
Oh
that's
yeah,
it's crazy, but no, that's so awesome. And actually, that does lead me in. I wanted to ask you about the Nearness Project actually, and kind of it.
absolutely.
Yeah, no, I thought it was. I looked at the Instagram; it was so beautiful. I mean, I love collage work already, but the stuff you guys put together was really, really
Thank you.
cool. Yeah,
Yeah, Leah is an extremely talented collage artist. That's her main medium, and like
yeah,
her work is gorgeous, and she did a great job. She did a lot of the curating of the collage artists we work with and the collage kits. That
yeah.
is like her biggest, I guess. I think that in most of our division of labor, I loved to work. I was like a college radio kid and loved to work with the playlists,
Oh,
and Aaliyah curated a lot of the collage kits. But
yeah.
Nearness was great in that I think Aaliyah and I have still never met in real life, which is crazy. Uh, we
Worked on the magazine, but you never met before that, or?
Yeah, we've been remote collaborators for, gosh, a long time at this point.
Yeah,
We worked on a piece for Rookie together. I illustrated one of her essays, which is how we connected originally.
cool.
But we had worked on, she had curated a calendar a couple years back. We'd done a comic together and just kind of remained collaborators even after Rookie. But we had been talking just on Instagram during the very beginning of the pandemic about how we missed Rookie and wished that there was something like that, and how we kind of had the idea to create it for ourselves.
Yeah.
Um,
No, that's so awesome. And because it started during the pandemic, right? But
yeah. So Nearness, the goal, I guess, was to take that very intimate community forming quality of Rookie and the kind of beautiful personal work and bring that to the context of the pandemic. So all of the work that we had was in somehow related to either pandemic or isolation or just that period of time.
yeah,
Um, it ran from April 2020 to April 2021. So I wanted to cap it at a very specific time frame because it was a project that was meant to have specific parameters. It was just
oh,
a window into the kind of collective experience of primarily young women all around the world that were dealing with this crazy unprecedented thing.
yeah.
And I think more than anything, it was something that we both felt really isolated. We were both living with family. um, I was at my parents' house for 3 months. You know, Leah was at her boyfriend's family cottage somewhere in like the UK, very isolated. Both of us just were kind of feeling a need for that community and realized that a lot of other people were too. Um,
Yeah, that's so cool because it is also interesting. I feel like it really puts into play like the digital space and how that kind of becomes a community, even though it's like everyone's so far apart. And I think that's
yeah,
to adjust to in the last year. I mean, really kind of relying on that for social interaction, which is I feel like it's been leading up to that for a lot of years, but the pandemic just kind of sent it over the edge.
oh, absolutely. And it was great. It definitely, that was the thing that felt like the most social interaction I got for a long, months, like
Yeah.
just reading articles, interacting with people on that. It was what consumed a lot of my time for the beginning of the pandemic, and was really what I think, I can't speak exactly for Aaliyah, but I think it was a similar experience to her. It was what kept me feeling like I was making something that mattered.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's really cool having those kind of creative outlets. And I feel like art, especially, can kind of bring people together during, obviously, I mean, it's not like a incredibly unique thing to say, but it really is true that art kind of can bring people together in a way
Absolutely.
things can't, you know? No, but that's really, I'm glad that you had that outlet during that because it was pretty challenging. I mean,
Oh yeah. I feel like now, even when we're going, slightly back, like mask mandates are coming back for indoors. I know they were lifted in Washington for a while. I'm not sure exactly about California, but like we're
yeah,
kind of getting back into some parts of it, but it's hard to remember what it was like at the very beginning because it was bleak.
it was really bleak. Yeah, my kind of when I was finishing up college around that time,
Oh,
and like at the
Zoom
time,
classes.
oh my gosh, yeah. I mean, luckily I didn't have to do that much because I graduated like right then or in 2020.
Amazing.
Oh my gosh, I know. I was like, get me out of here, but whatever. But me, my boyfriend, his sister, and his friend, we watched. Do you remember DCOM's like Disney Channel original movies?
Mhm.
We watched all 109 of them, and then we like did a full like write up piece, and it was like basically what we did the like first 3 months of the pandemic or something. We just kind of like threw this thing together, but it was like
That's amazing.
it's fun to just throw yourself into like a project in a weird way where it's like, you know,
Oh yeah.
especially when you have that amount of time on your hands that's normally filled with other things. But
Oh yeah.
and
No, it's definitely a time where people were able to kind of sink into creative things in a way, or like had to almost,
yeah.
because it's just like the only thing to keep you sane.
Oh my God. Yeah, totally. I know. And another thing I wanted to ask about that project was there kind of what was your motivation in focusing like mainly on collages as like the main like piece?
Yeah. Yeah, but we with the collages, it was something that you could print out and that could kind of take that space and bring it into your like isolated context, I guess. It was something that people could take and really like integrate into wherever they were. So we really went for those things that felt like traditional DIY that could kind of translate into the physical world.
Yeah.
Um, Similar to that, we wanted like a lot of the aesthetics to feel a little handmade. So we have like a lot of work that feels, I don't know, that people have drawn and scanned in rather than digital or things like that.
Yeah.
uh,
No, that's so cool. No, I mean, really, the feed looked beautiful. I was like going through it. I was like, wow,
well,
you guys really put together such a beautiful project.
thank you. I mean, we curated it to a certain extent, but really like people submitted things. Like we initially, when we were starting it, we did it very quickly.
Yeah.
We had the idea and kind of put it together rapidly and reached out to a lot of ex-rookies, but really after that, like once we got the ball rolling, we had submissions from so many people that we had never interacted with that gave us such beautiful work to publish. And like some
Yeah.
of my favorite things, and some of the people that ended up being long-term collaborators through the period of the project, like Augustina Zabala is, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing her name right, but she was someone that, or I actually think they might use they them pronouns. It's hard when you only know people from the internet, but I'm going to say they them. But they were a amazing Argentinian photographer, and they just cold submitted us some work, and we ended up publishing a lot of their work. They're extremely talented, and they're someone that I now feel like is an internet friend. And there's a lot of people like that that we kind of met through the context of the project, which was really fun.
No, that's awesome. I mean, it's a great kind of networking and like kind of community building thing. Do you know how many pieces you ended up kind of collecting by the end, or like, do you have like a work number? Because I was just curious because it seems like
Yeah.
for a while I was like, wow, there's so many pieces.
Let me see. I know, I mean, our Instagram, let me see the number of things on the Instagram, because that's like kind of close to what we ended up with.
Yeah.
I'd say like between 300 and 330.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah,
No,
it
that's
was it was great. And a lot of them, I mean, I think looking at the Instagram feed gives you a certain view of the visuals. There's a lot of like beautiful long form writing that is on the actual site that it's like was linked through that we wanted to have. I don't know, Instagram was a good way of kind of being a platform where we could interface more with people, but having the actual, Wix website and like having a web version of it was something that felt like it lended itself better to long form writing. So
Yeah. Well,
there's a little bit of both.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, Instagram, I mean, I feel like at this point, there's like a whole art to building a feed that looks however you want it to look. It's really interesting because I feel like that wasn't a thing when Instagram first started happening, but now oh my gosh, it's like the amount of thought that goes into it is just like crazy. But no, that's awesome. I'm glad I got to hear more about that because I was definitely really interested in.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. And then I wanted to get into the Inside Joe records.
Absolutely. Yeah. So that's a newer than Nearness in terms of projects. But one of my closest friends and collaborators, Pia Parisi Marcoux, and I, we met years ago when we were both studying in Argentina. But we are both musicians as well as people that organize within music circles. And we had been talking for a long time about what this kind of looked like. It had been an idea and many different things. Pia's more of a live booker, and I had been interested in creating a label. And we wanted to kind of combine them into Inside Joe, which is a artist support initiative. I'm more of the label side and Pia is more of the live organizing, which will be more prominent once.
I hope so.
Once that is something that is more feasible. We're hoping to lean more into actual live organizing, but the goal is to kind of facilitate smaller international artists to gain foothold, whether it's through physical distribution or live performance within the US. It's something that, like, as a writer, for me, I've noticed that when, like, my friends that English is not their primary language or that don't have a US or English speaking press team, it's harder for them to kind of break into the smaller indie US press cycle or even distribution. It's hard to get things in stores if you don't know where to go. And just having someone on the inside, I guess, who can help facilitate that is a helpful thing. It's something that's like important to us as we've received that kind of support playing internationally and working with artists, but the US has such a difficult scene to break into that's also kind of viewed in so many ways as like a big global music scene. I mean, it is a big global music scene. It's one of the hubs. It's nice to be able to help with that and help kind of integrate smaller artists into that, or at least provide a platform to
like making
that started.
Is what you mean? Like making it more accessible.
Exactly. Accessibility. Because even with music writing, like they're not getting circulated as much. I think that like the biggest fault in the kind of indie media is that it's extremely US and Eurocentric. And so like smaller artists in other countries, even if they're gaining a lot of traction in their local scenes, often are unnoticed here.
No, that's awesome. I mean, it's really important, I think, that diversifies kind of the perspectives that people get, because it's good,
We think so too. And like, because there's like such different things going on in different scenes, it's like, across the US, each different pockets have different things going on, but especially like it's the same but on a larger scale in different countries. I was amazed when I was in Argentina that their scene just had a unique kind of texture feel. It was like synthier, it was more 80s influenced. It had to do with the political scene in the 80s in Argentina versus now, and all of these factors contributed to making it just kind of a different kind of music than was coming out of at least the places I was living in the US at the time. And it was fascinating to me. And I never thought, which of course, different scenes just are different, even if it's like all contemporary. But
I know it's an interesting thing where it's kind of like we think we have everything at our fingertips in the US, but it's like in reality, we only have like a really small sliver of what actually goes on in the world. And especially with music, it's like we only have it's such a small part of the, I guess, music pizza or whatever, if you want to call it.
Exactly. And there's such cool stuff going on. So our goal is to, I guess, just help in whatever small way we can in helping bridge that that gap and bringing some of these amazing things that either our friends or people that we admire or people that reach out to us are putting out. So it's a new, I guess it's been in the works for a while, but as a live presence, I guess, it is fairly new now, which is exciting that it exists in a way that I can talk about it as opposed to just on the drive on my computer, which it was for a long time.
Yeah, like the live performances or just generally the project?
Just the inside joke. We didn't want to announce the label until we had a physical release.
Yeah.
So it's been in the works for a while, but our first release was a compilation.
Yeah, I wanted to ask about that. It was like the way you guys put that together was beautiful. I wanted to hear more about kind of how you put that part of the project together and kind of what.
Absolutely. Yeah, we thought that a compilation would be a good first release. Is it because we are a new platform? It's a way to kind of bring the audiences from these different artists that are, some of them are smaller, some of them are larger, but they're all not based in the US and making really interesting different kinds of music. But kind of gathering all of their separate artists and bringing them to one platform, we thought was a good way to kind of get the label going so that any subsequent releases would have that audience base to see them. Similar to Nearness, Instagram and Bandcamp are our primary platforms. We have the release on Bandcamp as well as physical cassettes, as we'll do for all subsequent releases, because having a physical medium to distribute is, I don't know, an important thing, I think.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. No, and I thought, so did you guys how did you kind of go through the process of like building that product, like kind of doing the art and like kind of, can you walk me through that process?
So like the process of physically making the tapes or just?
I was just like curious. I don't know. I just thought it was.
Yeah. So I'm currently in Bellingham, Washington, a little north of Seattle, and we had a great space up here is the alternative library, and they let us use some of their resources to physically make the tapes, which is great. But we used a tape duplicator.
Yeah.
We ordered the tapes from National Audio Company, just blank cassettes. We printed out all the J cards. Our friend Roland did the mastering. He is an extremely talented sound engineer. But he mastered the tape and we duplicated them all from the master. It took many hours of us sitting and putting tapes together and folding and cutting and printing J cards, but we made them all by hand. We stamped the physical tapes ourselves. They're very DIY, but the cool thing about cassettes is that you can make them at a essentially professional or pretty much on par with what you would get if you just sent them out to get created. You can do it by yourself as long as it's kind of time versus money, and we have time but we don't have money. So.
No, having time is good. Oh, that's awesome.
The art on the tape though is by an extremely talented young Chicago artist. Her Instagram is Lil Cup of Milk. LILCUPOFMILK, Lil Cup of Milk. Daniela Loza is her name, but she's like 18 years old. She just got into the Art Institute, and her stuff is just amazing.
Oh, that's
actually cool. A tattoo of
beautiful.
It was on the corner of the cover art. But
I love that.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome. We'll be sure to tag her in the post. How did you get connected with her?
I worked with her with Nearness a little, but had just followed her on Instagram, I think, for a while because I was in Chicago and I think we must have had people in common. But I really admired her work. She did some very beautiful kind of abolish the police, like anti-cop drawings for Nearness that were like amazing.
Oh, that's so great. Well, it's awesome that kind of your older project led into your new one and you can kind of bring some of that community over.
Oh, absolutely. We had a collage artist, Andrea Lux, also, who was another Nearness contributor who did some of our press collages for Inside Joe.
Yeah, I was gonna say it looked like it was. There's a very similar kind of thread that goes throughout all of them. I thought the collage work on those was really beautiful too.
Andrea is amazing. We wanted something that was kind of a unified aesthetic to go with the press, but because they're artists that we're not going to have them all in one place to take kind of cohesive press photos, we wanted to work with a collage artist to kind of bring a cohesive element to a bunch of very varied press content.
Yeah, that's awesome. No, yeah. Oh yeah.
One up there, but like some of the stuff we got was just like crazy looking, and Andrea did a great job of making them all look like they live in the same world but still keeping the energy of each.
Yeah, no, it was really. I mean, yeah. I mean, collage art is just. I feel like it just is always kind of a great way to like bridge the gap between different mediums and
Oh yeah.
no, really beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did want to ask too about the mix. What was your process of kind of with the music itself, like putting that list together, and like kind of how did you narrow down what you wanted to put on it, or in like the order you wanted to put it in, or like anything you wanted to share about that process?
Pia and I spent a long time on the order, so it's definitely. I mean, I'll back up a little, but with the artists themselves, it is primarily. I mean, I guess it's a little bit of everything. It's people that we have been fans of for a long time. Like Groa is one of my favorite ones to talk about. They're a young they're like Icelandic teen punks. They're amazing.
Oh,
I played in a video on KXP Iceland Airwaves a couple years ago, and I've just been a fan of theirs. And so it's so fun to get to reach out to them and have an unreleased song of theirs. But everything on there is unreleased.
cool.
Previously. The artists are all people that we just reached out to, but some of them we had known before. Maya, who is a Maya Perry, who's a Tel Aviv-based artist, is actually a visual artist that I had worked with Nearness and loved her visual work, but had also loved her music. So it was fun to get to kind of reach out to her with a different medium.
Yeah.
Pia has lived in. She was doing a grant with the Watson Foundation and lived in both Montreal and Mexico City. And so some of the artists are people that she played with or interacted with in those scenes. We have an Argentinian artist that we know from there, but also have been a fan of, Fonzo. And then some of them are people that we have listened to and are honestly like, I think the biggest kind of get for us was Les Amazones d'Afrique. I'm probably pronouncing that terribly. I do not speak French, but they are an amazing super group of African women singers who are far out of our league as a tiny label, but they agreed to work with us for this because they thought that the project was something that was important, as we think so as well. But like working with they're one that we would not be really they're on a label. They are already, reaching an international scene, but are
it's awesome you got to connect with
about getting other young artists, or not even young artists, but other artists connected.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing.
And then the order, we tried to make it flow. We ended up with a crazy kind of Frankenstein of amazing music that did not flow very well, but I think in a fun way. So we tried to set it up and that like the A side and the B side are both, you can listen through and it fits, but it also kind of bounces you around, and there's no way that it's going to feel like an easy ride, I guess, because we have harsh noise and ambient music and like crazy Japanese post-punk and very, soulful like R&B pop, all sorts of wild stuff.
An eclectic mix, you would say.
An eclectic mix for sure.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And you said that you used to be like a radio DJ in school, or?
I had a show on Evanston's WNUR 83,
Nice.
90. Oh my God, 89.3. I was like, I don't even know, that's terrible. But 4 years, making playlists and like kind of making things that might not fit together fit is something that I have a lot of fun with.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's really, yeah, again, the art of putting a playlist together is a really underrated thing, I think. And I mean, definitely succeeded in the mixtape because, yeah, I feel like it's really cool when you can kind of, because I mean, it's easy to put a playlist together that has all the same songs of the same genre or the same type of artist or whatever, but it's kind of cool when you can kind of bring things that are so vastly different and kind of bring them into a cohesive piece. I feel like it's hard to do, but when you do it well, it can really be pretty powerful.
The side B, I think, is my personal favorite in terms of flow. I think that was the one that we were so excited that there's like a 4-song run that it was the Les Amazones to Fonzo to Desde O that we were like, oh, this is such a good run. Like these are all so different, but they just like flow so well together. We were really proud of that.
That's awesome.
I think there's kind of moments like that where there's some that feel like they fit together weirdly well.
Yeah, no, that's so great. It's always so satisfying. It's a funny thing when that stuff happens.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No, our current, we made I think we started with just a run of 50 physical tapes, but we have to make a bunch more to send to Japan, which is exciting because we have 3 artists on there that are from Call and Response Records, which is a Japanese post-punk and noise label. They're amazing. They put out just such cool stuff, and we're going to be putting out the kind of US versions of some of their future releases, which we're excited about. But we need to send them a whole bunch of tapes to put in stores in Japan, which is exciting.
Have you ever been to Japan or anything?
Oh, I've never been to Japan. I've never been to half the places that we have artists from, which is really cool.
No, that's awesome. No, it's really good that it goes both ways. Like you're bringing people into the US scene, but also you're kind of going out globally and kind of putting them out there. That's so cool. That must be really exciting.
Yeah, it was something that we were working on for a very long time. So having it exist out in the world and having other people be able to listen to it is still kind of a crazy thing to me and really exciting because it was just something that was like slowly accumulating on my computer hard drive for months and months, and I would like show people, but having it, actually in the hands of people and on the computers and on Bandcamp is just a whole lot of fun.
Really, thank you again, honestly. Yeah.
Of course. No, thank you so much. Let me know if you need anything else, and have a great rest of your evening.
You too. Bye, Anna.
All right, bye.
Thank you so much for tuning in, and big thank you to Anna for sitting down with us and providing music for this podcast. You can check out her project Dog Beach on Bandcamp. Also make sure to follow Anna on Instagram at Anna Claire White, and check out her socials for Inside Joe Records and the Nearness Project. Our full profile on Anna is featured on the With It Girl website, so be sure to check that out. Have a good one!